Turkish soldiers have allegedly communicated with ISIL terrorists on the Syrian border, according to an opposition newspaper, citing wiretapping evidence. Coming up too, an investigative reporter claims former US military top brass provided intelligence to Syria's President Assad with a knowledge of the White House. We speak to that journalist. And after the Washington Post pulls a cartoon from its website showing Senator Ted Cruz's daughters as monkeys, the Republican presidential hopeful turns it into a money spinner for his campaign. Got that story too. Hi there, my name's Kevin Owen. Thanks for being with us. Just a quick news line to start with. As mentioned there at the top of those headlines, we're getting news in the Turkish military personnel at the Syrian border have allegedly had communications with Islamic State. Now, these claims have been reported by Turkish opposition media today. If so, there'll be a lot more to be said about that throughout the day. We're hoping to catch up with Mirav Savir, one of our correspondents, to talk about that very shortly. As soon as we get it, we will go to it. But next, telling you about this, former US top brass covertly supplied intelligence to the Syrian president via other states' military to help Assad's army against the jihadists without the knowledge of the White House. That's according to investigative journalist and the New York contributor Seymour Hersh. In fact, he's just published an article titled Military to Military. Among his sources, the journalist quotes the former director of the US Defense Intelligence Agency. We spoke to the author.
It is pretty amazing when a group of generals say to themselves, I don't know why this guy is listening to us. I don't know what we're going to do about it, but we have to do something about it. Because in America, when you become the head general, or you even take the oath of office in any serious office, it's not to the president, it's to the Constitution. They were acting on behalf of what they thought the country should be doing. And so that was the leverage they used, I think, to make this extraordinary decision that they're going to work with other people to help out, or at least to give Bashar the intelligence he needs to survive. Why we would want in the United States for Bashar not to survive, given the consequences of having, let's say, the Islamic State or al-Nusra or groups allied with them with the same point of view run a country with bordering on Iran and Israel. I mean, my God, that would be a formula for complete chaos, as we have in Libya. It just makes no sense. I do know that the intelligence that was produced, the report I mentioned in the article, the assessment, the major sort of assessment that included everything from satellite and human intelligence and intercepts, a hot report, was certainly given to the White House. I have no way of explaining why the White House wasn't interested in that intelligence. I mean, come on. They know that these groups, that they're at least at some level, they understand that the groups they insist are so moderate have a lot of ties. You can't exist without being in league with al-Nusra or the Islamic State. You know, actually, the article is really not about what I'm saying. It's about what the military said. It's about a bunch of generals working, you know, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs and the head of the Defense Intelligence Agency, just feeling confounded about the fact that they're reporting all this stuff. There's no moderates. The moderates don't really exist. And that you have to deal with Russia. That you have to stop talking about getting rid of Assad because that's just crazy, given what happened in Libya when you got rid of Gaddafi. Look what happened in Iraq when you got rid of Saddam. Actually, if I'm Putin looking at it, I'm thinking, we're supposed to be in the same bed in terms of fighting international terrorism. We're all secular countries who believe in freedom of religion. And here we are. The United States has done what since 9/11? They've knocked off a secular guy in Iraq. They've knocked off a secular guy in Libya, and they're trying their best to make trouble for a secular guy in Syria.
Well, we asked the Pentagon to comment on the article. Their spokesman rebuffed it as completely false. We'll continue to follow it. Now, back to that newsline I brought you at the top of the programme there. Turkish military personnel, we're hearing, at the Syrian border have allegedly had communications direct with Islamic State. The claims have been reported by Turkish opposition media. Artis Mirav Savir is across this story. Hi there, thanks for being with us. What has been revealed, and exactly, can you put some more meat on the bones of this?
Well, allegedly Turkish officers on the Syrian border were communicating with Islamic State terrorists on the Syrian side. This is according to the Cumhuriyet Daily, which said that the phones of 19 individuals were tapped in this investigation. Now, according to these reports, the Ankara's chief prosecutor office called for the surveillance on the suspicion that they were communicating with these Islamic State militants. This came to light because relatives of 6 different Turkish individuals came to authorities saying that they think their relatives went over to the Syrian side, and at that point they decided to tap into the phone wires. Now, one example where a military member is saying to members of the Islamic State within Syria that they are delivering the vehicle and that, quote, materials are on us.
Mirav, thanks for the update. As soon as we get to know more about this, we'll maybe come back to you throughout the coming hours. Well, meantime, revealing government secrets comes at a high price in Turkey. The country's charged a number of people with treason recently. 2 journalists from the same newspaper that published the wiretapping claims will be tried for espionage now. They broke that story, you may recall, about a Turkish truck carrying weapons and supplies to jihadists in Syria. An opposition MP who brought up alleged sarin smuggling into Syria has also been charged with treason, as was the leader of the pro-Kurdish People's Democratic Party for criticising the downing of a Russian jet.